Okay, hi there. By way of opening, I'm adding a little disclaimer at the beginning. This is my finished page. What I've made is probably a very long video. I haven't edited it and looked at it yet. I just finished. I wanted to tell you up front that it's in real time with all my mistakes and all my chatter and all my sniffling and all of my thoughts as I go and the dead spaces as I paint. If that's not for you, either fast forward it or move on. And I know it will interest some people. Hey, if it interests one person who learns something from it or is inspired, I'm happy. So there's my disclaimer. Go ahead. I hope you enjoy. Hello, everybody. It's Jill here on a rainy Sunday, and I haven't made a video in a while. And I couldn't think of what I wanted to do. I thought, oh, I do feel like putting out an art video. But I really didn't have any specific process or any specific... I don't know, I miss the collaborative challenges. I would love to find a group of people that would love to do collaborative challenges again. It kept me on track. It kept me making videos. So anyway, I'm just going to follow my gut today. And it might not be something you're interested in. But I do a lot of water-soluble work. A lot of faces. This is my go-to kit that I carry every day. Except for I add these two. My fountain pens, my Stabilo Alls, my Elegant Writer, this is a Stabilo All Graphite. These over here obviously not water soluble, but almost everything I need to work every day is in here. I also keep in my bag, in my art bag, my flares and my color ace pencils. For today, I just got out these two colors. But I keep my whole package of color ace pencils in my art bag. So, what I thought I'd do, look, already I'm rambling. This could end up being an incredibly long video. I hope not. And if not, I can always voice over, right, and speed it up. So, what I thought I would do is just a bunch of faces, each one in a different water-soluble media, so you could see the difference. And I normally don't sketch out my face right on camera, and I don't know why. I figure who wants to see me sit and sketch? And a lot of times with my water-soluble media, I don't sketch it out to begin with anyway in graphite. But today, look, I'm just going to start with a little loose. There's my dog barking. Hopefully my husband will put her away if she gets too noisy. Okay, let's go. Quick eyes. This first face is probably going to be the most simple since I'm a little uncomfortable doing all of this on camera. She's just going to be forward facing, nothing special. She already looks a little sad, doesn't she? I'm going to show you how non-intricate my faces are. If I start out with graphite at all, I often just start out with a quick scribble. So let's give her, the hardest part I have is the shape of the face. So, okay, that's about it. A little quick hairline. Her hairline went right off the top of the page. Put her neck going this way. I'm going to leave room because I want this to be filled up with lots of faces. So what are we going to do first? Let's do my favorite. Now, no, you know what? Since I started with black graphite, I'm not going to go with the brown Lamy pen ink. I'm going to go with black, which is probably my go-to. I should put black in, I should probably put black in this pen because that's my favorite pen. But I need more Lamys. I need more Lamys in my life. So now it's a matter of just going over these same scribbly lines with my black fountain pen ink. And you can tell I'm not real careful. I'm just going to put in, I like when my art is done, these loose faces, I like to see some of the scratchy marks. If that doesn't appeal to you, I'm sure there are many different ways of doing this. Because no matter, especially with these fine, cheaper pens, it does leave some scratchy lines. No matter how much I try and blend it, they will be there. Okay, upper lip. Put a little, pencil came out a little too far there. I'm not even going to shade one side of the face more heavily than the other. I'm just going to keep it kind of even. I always go for some heavier shading here under the chin. It's kind of dangerous to erase while it's still kind of wet because you can end up smearing the black ink because I haven't even given it time to dry. I just put it on. Okay. That's about as fancy as I often get. All right. Let me put in a little hair while I'm at it. That will also give me the nice shadow underneath of her hairline. Okay. I just want a suggestion of hair. Okay. Choosing a brush. I like to go with a bigger brush than I need. My first impulse would be to use this size brush on her face, but I don't know, it keeps me looser to use a bigger brush. So I'm going to wet my brush, dab a little bit of the water off, and start. Where I move to next on the face depends on how much ink I have in my brush. And right now it's nice and dark. I have a lot of ink in there, so I'm sticking to the really darkest places. It would not be the time to do, the tip of her nose or... Now I can go back, rinse my brush if I want to smooth any of these out. Now with a clean brush, I'll hit this on the nose. And now here I'm going to start picking up darks again, so I got to be careful. I'll go to her mouth, which will be nice and dark, and her neck. But I'm going to stay away from that underneath the nose for a minute until I clean out my brush, or she's going to look like she has a great big huge mustache, right? So see in her neck, there's lines there. I'm okay with that. If you're not okay with that, you might want a much broader tip fountain pen. Or I guess I could just put my lines in more carefully. Oh, yep, under her nose is getting much too dark. Let's see. Take a towel, pull some of it up. Now would be the time to start doing the sides of her cheeks with a nice clean brush and not a lot. I should turn the book around to do this side of her, but I don't want to do all that on camera. So I'm just going to try and... I'm working in my big, by the way, my big Jane Davenport journal that, I've pretty much shown in all of my videos. Okay. First layer of her face is done. I'm just going to add just a little bit of water to the hair. I just want a suggestion. Now, I have done an entire video on how to use these fountain pens to make a face. But today I'm just doing a quick small one, and we'll move on to other. Now it's not even dry yet, but that's okay. I can go back in and add my darkest darks, because to face it, that water takes out some of the darkest spots, and that's okay. I'll hit a little over here, back in her nostrils, her lip line. A little bit back under here. If it feels like I'm working fast, yes, I often work this fast. Especially if this is the loose journal sketchbook look I'm looking for. If it's, a more serious piece or something I'm planning on moving on, and I will take my time. So there is black fountain pen. So I think next I would like to move on to a Stabilo all pencil, but instead of going black, let's go brown. Let's see what the difference is. Okay, so let's make a girl over here. I'm still trying to get up the nerve to attempt a 3/4 face. Not yet. Another forward-facing face. Now, this is really not erasable. So I could have started with this, which is why I got it out, which is a brown color erase, which is really going to match the Stabilo. But, who needs to erase, right? We're just going to go with what we get. So that eye's looking smaller. Let's at least make the eyes the same size. Pretty much same kind of nose on both faces. Some eyebrows. See, this is why I don't sketch. Most of my videos, you notice, if I'm doing a pencil sketch or a beginning sketch, I do it off camera. Because what am I going to do? Just sit and sketch and not talk? But you can always fast forward through this part. As you can tell, I very rarely make grid lines anymore. Now, see, her eyes, I could tell, are a little crooked. Maybe a grid line would have helped. See, this eye is a little too high. So I'm going to try and fix that right now. I'm going to bring this up and this up. Bring this down. The eyebrows are pretty. It's okay. Let's give her a little bit of a rounder face. I do like to. Okay, so we're going to see how the Stabilo all works differently than the fountain pen. Let's give her this kind of hair. I'm not even worrying about how my girls fit together. What I'll do is I'll do a whole bunch of faces, and then I can doodle in between. I can leave it in between. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this page. Let's see what happens. I think, my whole idea on this video was to show you comparisons of different water-soluble media and how they work for making faces. Since it's what I love, it's my favorite. I do, as you'll see from my videos, I work with acrylic. I love gouache. I work with watercolor. But I think if you were to ask me if I were to go, I don't know, for a couple years to a foreign country and I could take very limited supplies with me, this case and a sketchbook and a couple of watercolor brushes, I'd be good to go. Although I have to admit, I just got a freebie case. After I stop the camera, I'll show it to you. It's for traveling on airlines. It was a gift from work, from my department, as part of rehab month. And I'm eyeing it up because it's a much bigger case, and I could fit a lot more travel supplies in it. But I'm trying to resist, because how much can I carry with me every day? I don't know. So the Stabilo All really does intensify when it's wet. The black much more so than the brown. I like all the colors of Stabilo. As a matter of fact, when I stop the video for a break, I'll get out one of my faces that I did quite a while ago using all the different colors of Stabilo All. She's interesting. All in the same face. She's getting some blotches and some blooms, and I'm okay. I actually think that's pretty cool. I think it's good for expression. I'm not trying to make realistic, perfect faces here today. I'm exploring with supplies, right? I would think by the end of this, I could probably tell you which I enjoyed using the most, which I like the finished product the most, but and hopefully you'll try this as well. You might not have all of the supplies I have, but I bet you have a bunch of water-soluble supplies in your stash. There are ones I probably won't even get to today. I have Tombow markers I really don't enjoy. I did get out a few mermaid markers. Liking them less and less for this. I'm going to be honest with you. Where's my pencil? There it is. I don't know. The Tombows are for something different than this. Look, that's... You know the other thing I can do? I can dip this right in the water and now get some nice darks without having to re-wet, which is a pretty cool option and not something I do very often. So it's funny that I'm doing that on camera. But I did just get a nice clean jar of water going. That's nice. See that? Because now I don't have to get my brush out and re-wet. I definitely want some nice darks over here. I lost the eye line. How cool is that? You know, I highly suggest, to some people it takes courage to just play. Just play. Now look at that. 2 faces done. I have no idea how long that was. How much time. Excuse me for my sniffling. I don't know if I'm catching a cold or if it's just my allergies severely acting up. I'm surprised I haven't been coughing already. Okay. So now we have black fountain pen, brown Stabilo All. What shall we do next? I have been loving my Stabilo All water-soluble graphite. Let's see. Like this. I'm giving you a sneak peek. It's not even the end of the month. And these are all done with this one pencil. And I have to admit, I also have the Derwent. I would like to see, I might do it right now, a comparison. Stabilo makes this one, 8008, water-soluble graphite. Derwent has the 3, light wash, medium wash, and dark wash. And I got this little tin on clearance sale. So let's see, light, medium, and dark. You know what I have never done? I've never done a little test. Let's try it. I'm going to go over here. Here's light. Here's medium. Here's dark. Why I'm doing this between the two girls, I don't know. And here's the Stabilo, which I just happened to sharpen to a nice shiny point. All right, so let's use a nice, decent sized brush. Make sure it's clean. All the brown is out of it. And so here's the Stabilo. I think there might be a little bit of brown left in there. Here's the light wash. Oh, pardon me there. I knew it was only a matter of time. Here's the medium wash. Now see, I'm seeing a difference. And the dark wash. Maybe not that big a difference. So let's do a face. I'm going to start with this one. All right, Jill. Go for it. If I'm going to do this, though, I need a pencil. Here's my mechanical pencil. It's just a Graph Cure 500. 0.7 black lead. So just some basic look. Once again, we're not going for realism here. Just simple, sketchy. This is more about supplies. Here, an eyebrow, an eyebrow. Oh man, if I absolutely hate this one, I might have to ditch the whole video, huh? Nah. Look, everything we draw does not turn out wonderful and lovely and impressive, right? I'm not the only one here that knows that, right? A little nose. Let's come in at her eye. Oh, she's kind of cute. That's not bad, right? The reason I switched and started with the mechanical pencil is I'm really not sure. Let's try. Does this erase? Not as well. Nope. See, the Stabilo didn't erase. And I was pretty sure I wanted to get rid of a bunch of these lines. And like even there, I'm totally unhappy with the neck, so let's pull the neck back. Is that too far back? Yeah, let's go separate the distance. All right, so to firm up, we have an eye and an eye. I'm drawing really dark, which is probably not a good idea. But since it's on film, it'll help you guys see what I'm doing. Got to clean all that up in there. Okay. So, you know, earlier I said I don't use grid lines. I have to use grid lines often on 3/4 faces and profiles. But I've done a lot of work on getting comfortable with them. And maybe eventually I won't, but hey, we all get off track and need grid lines once in a while, right? I don't want to draw an ear, so her hair is going right over there. I don't even know what to do with their body down here. It's just simple. What do you think? Okay. I've done a lot lately with the Stabilo. I think I'm going to try the Derwents. Let's start with light wash. The beauty, like, I think, why do I like water-soluble pencil? I had to, like, quiz myself. What is it you like about this? Well, I don't have to spend all the time shading and blending. Can you tell? I'm like a scribbly artist. I do have a stump and a pencil. I could sit and blend perfectly, but I'd much rather scribble and then take a brush and move it all around. And scribble into her hair. Is this really tedious? I hope not. Let's get rid of some of those. You know, her hair's an odd shape. It's all right. So now I'm going to move into the medium. I'm not sure it makes all that big a difference. Sometimes I go back in with my very, very darkest after I've wet it. I do want to make sure I go over all my graphite lines because they're not going to move. And when I blend this out, I want it all to blend. Do I need the darkest one? I don't know. Let's see what happens. I'm not liking this shape I got going right there. So let's, look, turn it into shading in the hair. Let's do that. All right, let's reserve the darkest one and see what it looks like after we wet it. You know, this one I'm going to move to a smaller brush. I'm going to move to this size brush. She's a pretty small face there. Let's see what happens. I love the soft you get when you start blending this stuff around. Rinse my brush. Being that, you know, my sketchbook is under the camera, I can't move it around a lot. I got to do some more gymnastics with my hands that are not natural. If I do a lot of this work, honestly. I have this beautiful art room, and I've said it before. I do most of this sitting on the sofa, twisting the book around wherever I want, with my husband on the other end of the big sectional sofa and the dog looking at me. Look how nice. I suppose I could achieve the exact same look with a stump and some time, but I just love this. And I can't tell you why. I just know, do what you love. Play, find out what it is that you know, after I've worked with acrylics and I've worked with gouache and I've worked with watercolors, I'm like, oh, I just had to do more of these girls, these water-soluble girls. That's a little too heavy on that side of the nose. Let me really dry my brush off. Pull some of that. See that? I can reshape her nose. Oh, isn't that a cute expression? Oh. Don't mind me, I'm a little weird. Now, am I being real accurate? I don't know. Does it matter? Nope. I'm liking this softness in her hair. Look at that. I lost a little bit of her cheekbone up here. See if I can get it back. Nope. It's all right. All right. I hope you can't hear my husband on the phone downstairs. He's a very loud talker on his cell phone. I think I will take a break till he's off the phone. Maybe get a cough drop and come back and finish her up. Hold on. Be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I got two things. I got my allergy blend roller with my essential oils in it. Put it on my wrists, behind my ears, on my temples, and already I'm breathing a little bit easier. You can hear it though, just coming up the steps. It's very hard for me to breathe. I also said I would get out this girl I did with all of my colors of Stabilo pencil. You can see the blue, the brown, the yellow, the orange, the green, and the black. I guess I hit them all in there. I like her. I took a lot more time with her than with this girl, and I did this in 12-17, and I surprised myself when I ended up with this look here, with the heavy whites under her eyes, like I call it zombie eyes. I don't prefer that. I know a lot of people make eyes like that, and I do love them, but for my own art, you'll notice I started leaving the bottom of the eyes almost open to avoid getting that look. So I never really finished the lower eyelid. Once in a while, though, I end up with those kind of eyes. But anyway, I thought you would like to see her with all the different colors. And if you're interested in seeing a video on how to do that, I will give it a try. Put it in the comments. So, the last thing to do with this girl, she's just about done. Let me get the dark wash. And now, once you wet this, it doesn't smear or rub, which is really nice. And it loses that, you know, when graphite hits the light a funny way, it's shiny. Now, when you go back and you put it in, you get that shiny. So you have to make a decision. Am I going to put this in and leave it dark so that when light hits it, it shines? Or am I going to go back in with water and wet it? I'll try, but what I find is then when I wet it, it loses that super dark. So that's personal preference, part of the learning curve. And I'm going to go to a really tiny little brush because I don't want to move this black. I just want to wet it. And when you turn your head and look at it, now see, while it's wet, it's even blacker, but it does dry. It dries lighter. than when it's wet. Maybe I made that too dark, who knows. Sorry, am I mumbling? I hope you can still hear me. So where did I put the black? I put it in the nostril, I put it in the lips. I think she's done. I like her. What do you think? Okay. Where am I going to go next? So that's let me put these away. I'm getting really, really cluttered. I can tell you right now, dark wash, this is going to be a very long video. And, you know, sometimes I enjoy just watching somebody chat and talk. It probably would be more like a live stream, but I don't have the courage to do live streams yet. And I certainly don't think I have the following to do live streams. I apologize if this is not what you're looking for. I don't know why I'm apologizing. If you don't like it, don't watch it. And I don't mean that meanly. It means I understand not everybody likes the same thing. So where am I going to go next? I need some color. So let's go let's go orange. Oh, orange, green, orange, green, orange, green. Blue. The light blue is my favorite. Okay. So do I go for a profile? Sure. I have to admit, my husband's looking for me to go with him to Staples and run some errands. So I'm probably going to start this one. So that's the eye line. End of the nose. Brow would be right here. Mouth. This is a complete profile. I hope. So, brow line comes in, nose comes out. Now, the camera's far away. You're probably not able to see this really well. Now, I just worked this method on Patreon with Danielle Mack. I highly recommend it. It's not a lot of money to do her Patreon for the month, and she did this complete tutorial on how to do side profiles. Everything from placement. She did in-depth how to draw the nose, the lips from the side. I don't like the shape of the nose. Let's see. Let's give it a little more of an upturn. Now I've completely... I should have gone with my first instinct, right? There. That's okay. And notice how the face all fits in that front little section. Ear fits in right on this back line. I don't do much for an ear. I do a suggestion. The neck comes out slightly behind the ear. Hairline. What kind of hair are we going to do? Let's do... She's not looking very pretty right now, is she? It'll help to get rid of all that. Some of my lines are much too dark. I want to go over this with light blue. So I'm going to show you a trick. And I'm pretty sure Christy Sobolewski taught me this. because I've followed her on Patreon for years. I consider her my main teacher and inspiration. This is what I'm pretty sure she taught us to do. Let me... You take your kneaded eraser, get a nice clean flat spot, and just press it on. Now my lines are still there, my shapes. See that? Now see, these are the little things. I don't know if you want to see or not, but these are the little things that really make a difference. I think I'm getting rid of the ear. Let's just get rid of the ear. Let's just give her hair. She's going to run into this girl. But that's all right. Okay, so see my lines are there? Now, let's put this aside and this aside. And I'm going to come in. Her lips don't look great right now, but when we use the water, it changes a lot. I am not liking her at all. I'm not liking her hair, but let's see. You never know. Once you start wetting it, sometimes amazing things happen, and sometimes they don't. Whoops. I decided last second to change that shape, and I shouldn't have. And now look, she's got fish lips. I should have gone with my original pencil lines. Now I want this to be like a nice deep dark. I'm probably pressing too hard with my marker, and it's going to make permanent lines in the paper. Remember, this is a materials lesson, not a drawing lesson. It's not really a lesson at all. It's just my sharing what I do. Okay. All right. Hold on, I got to stop the camera. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. That was a long break. We ran some errands, went out to lunch. That's okay. I needed to get away from this. I was starting to overthink things and worry too much. That's what we do to ourselves. This is just fun. This is something I give freely on YouTube, and it's all good, right? So, let's see if we can bring this blue girl here out of the ugly stage. Because, man, is it in an ugly stage. And I probably made the mistake of, I should have used a reference picture. But it's okay. Let's see if we can, like I said, bring her out. It's very small for you. And I'm sure, you know, I might consider for Christmas asking for a real camera setup. It's definitely a luxury. I don't know what my future holds as far as doing these videos. And if it's, you know, a passing fling of mine or something that's worth investing in, I'll probably discuss it with my husband, see what he thinks. Because that's who I'd have to get it from, is my husband. None of my kids are going to spend that kind of money on a Christmas gift. So let's see. Look, already. See, just adding a little bit of water really changes this. I'm looking to give her a nice cheekbone. I don't know. I'm making that face up as I go. And that's okay too, right? It's part of playing. And what that blue is really bright and really harsh compared to the rest of the page. It's too bright. If I were watercoloring right now, I'd be like, oh, Jill, you need to mix that to tone it down some. And I noticed that when I look through my journal, the pages I did with the flare markers are really intense and really bright. But you know, there's a time and a place for everything. There are times you want that kind of bright, intense. And then what I'll do later, depending on how long this video gets, I'll probably pull that blue into the spaces between some of the other to, you know, bring it around the page, move it around the page. Make it somewhat cohesive. So it's not like all eyes on the bright blue girl. That's interesting, right? Definitely worth trying, I think. She's going to need a little more blue in the lips. And right now it's really wet. So I'm not sure. Jury's out on that one. But you know what I do? This is what I do. I keep going. Just keep going. Okay. So, where do we go next? I have some other supplies. I have 3 mermaid markers. Look, this cat must have fallen on the floor and the dog chewed the little tab off. But I have 3 colors, a really pale gray, a medium gray, and a black. I have some Prismacolor water-soluble pencils, which I don't know if I've ever done a face in those. So let's start more comfortable. Let's start with the mermaid markers. Now it's going to be hard because this is wet here and I can't put my arm in it. Something transferred right there. I don't know what. So let's put a face up here. I'm going to start with my really pale. This face is going to be a lot bigger. My really pale gray. Just block in some shadows. I can tell these eyes are really narrow together, close together, too close together. Not going to worry. I always squeeze my mermaid markers over top of a little palette. So when that blob of ink comes out, I can reuse it. It's kind of a ghosty looking face, just an impression. This is a really pale marker, so it's really going to fade back out into nothingness. Okay. It's a really odd tilt of the head. Pick up a little more of that. So you can see I've got my basics in there. I'm not even going to use water yet on this part. So, get my brush back in shape. This one is, I don't know, if you're not familiar with Jane Davenport mermaid markers, they have this water-soluble ink in there. This one is called Driftwood. It's like a water brush, but with the ink already in it, and when they're empty, they can just become water brushes. Although I have to admit, I don't use them very often, but I haven't emptied one yet. They've been lasting a long time. So now I'm going to go to my medium, and this is the one the dog chewed the cap, Stormy Seas. I believe Driftwood was part of the Sun Bleached series, which is why it's so pale. The Sun Bleached ones obviously look like they're sun bleached. So now I'm going to add the next medium gray. The problem with most of the mermaid markers is they're too bright and too intense, along the lines of the flares. I much prefer this tone over here to this, and this face isn't going to be getting color. I've only chosen 3 grays, but even the black is going to be really intense. Wait till you see. But I can go with intense black. That's like a nice dramatic. I just don't like, you know, too bright of reds, too bright of oranges and yellows. That's a big nose. It's okay. I want to say right here I don't know what I'm doing, but I do. Face it. I'm just playing. I know how these work. I've used them. With these, you can be more painterly. It's a brush. And like I say, it's water soluble, so it will move around. Let's give her a nice shadow. Okay, what do you think? Are you thinking, oh my God, where is she going with that? It's awful. It's okay. You can think that. All right, before we go in with the real black, the shark's eye, I'm going to go ahead, take a nice big brush. Let's try this big, soft. None of these are expensive brushes. This is Best, B-E-S-T-E, Creative Mark, which is a really cheap brand. This one's well used and well loved. Barely makes a point anymore. But these are that stiffer, almost a cross between a watercolor or acrylic brush. And look, this is all that same series. And they have a little more, they bounce back a little more. Where this is Master's Touch Round. I couldn't find the Princeton Neptunes at Jerry's. I'm going to have to order those off of Blick. But this is a much softer, doesn't bounce back. This is like a true watercolor brush. So let's see how that behaves. I'm going to get it nice and wet. Tap it off. And of course this one. I love this one, the quill brush. I don't think I've used it yet today. I need a really big face to be using that. Or pre-wetting a face, where you wet it first before you apply your color. All right, so looks like these colors are not going to move a lot. I can tell you that right now. They pretty much sunk in, aren't going anywhere. See that? And some people have commented that in there on my video, that their mermaid markers don't move. But what you find is some of them move. Some of them move like crazy, and some of them just kind of sit. Now, they're softening a little. See how I'm getting some shading? It probably will make a difference when I get that black one in. I'm kind of rough. I take my brush and I scrub. Yeah, look, they're really not moving. The first one is not really moving at all. The second one's moving a little bit. But I'm still okay with that. She's looking pretty good, isn't she? Now, I'm going to let her rest. And I have something I would like to try. And that's this fine line. I sure hope what happens with this is it clogs up. Let's see, first of all, if it's working. I love this. It's fine line masking fluid. And I would like to do a face and mask off the whites and maybe some cool patterns in the hair. You know, I should have done this off camera. I can't even get the lid off, which tells me it's clogged. But if all else fails, I'll just stop the video and edit this part out. Okay, so it's got this really fine needle that goes down in the tip to keep it from drying out. But trust me, every once in a while, yep, it's clogged. All right, let me try one more thing before I stop the video, take this entire thing apart and clean it out. You don't need to see me do that. There are videos on YouTube about that. I don't need to make that video. Other people have already done it. That's a bad sign that this won't even go in. Oh, well, I don't know. Look, now that needle's going in and out. Let's give it a try. Yay! It's working. So, now that that's working, let's set that aside. Wipe that off my finger. Where am I going to use this masking fluid? Let me do it up here. So, all right, I'm going to start with, it's called purple. It's more like a lavender color erase pencil. Let's see. I'm going to squeak a face in. I sure hope I'm still in the camera. I'm going to squeak a face in over here. She's going to be behind. Look, she's going to go right behind. And I'm going to make a really simple, basic face along the lines of the first one. Here's the eyelid, eyebrows, and a little pupil. The reason I'm sketching it out first, I have not gotten to the point where I can use the masking fluid on a face I haven't sketched to know where the whites are. I haven't gotten there yet. Okay. Upper lip, lower lip, chin, trying not to put my hand. This is wet, but only paper wet. It's not gonna, nothing's gonna get damaged if I rest my hand there. Okay, so she's gonna have a nice, I don't think I have one yet with just a plain straight neck. So let's give her, although I like a little bit of a longer neck. Okay, there's her shoulders. Now the key is, where am I going to use this masking float? And what kind of hair is she going to have? I didn't leave any room for hair. Maybe her designs will be in her clothing. All right, so let's do that. So here is a simple scoop neck. Okay, and this is going to be her shirt. The reason I wanted to do this, you'll see, it's really obvious, is let this dry, put the masking fluid on here, let the masking fluid dry here, go back to working on her, and then hopefully by then the masking fluid will be done. So now, this is the fun part. I'm going to put the masking fluid in the whites of her eyes. A little in the highlight in her pupil. See if that's even. Put a little bit in the eyelid and in the little bit on the edge of her nose. I don't know if I should have put it here on the sides of her, on her lower lip. We don't really need a lot of white highlights left in the face. I can pretty much leave those. But the fun part is here in her shirt. Let's see. Okay. Let's make some dots. I love dots. That's probably enough. I don't know. It's enough for you to get the idea. I can go crazy with this stuff. I can do hair and designs in the clothing and jewelry and patterns in the background. I have some really cool paintings in a watercolor journal where I really went to town with this. And I'm still on my first bottle, and there's a lot left in there. So, now, that dries. You'll see the difference. It becomes translucent when it's dry and a different color. So now we'll go back to this girl with our darkest black. So, squeeze some out, make sure, oh, wow. Jill, you don't need that much. But I can leave that in there and use it. Well, I could add some blacks in the background. That could be kind of cool. I could use that for all kinds of things. It will re-wet. So let's see. I'm going to go back into my darkest darks. And you'll find this is what really makes this face pop. At this point, I don't know if I'm even going to wet it. Let's see. It's always a play it by ear. I kind of like that look right there. She looks nice, doesn't she? That's a lot of black there. I may have overdone that. Remove this. All right. Add a little drama into her hair there. Oh, I just messed up her face. Nothing is a problem. Everything can be altered and repaired. So, the shape of her chin now. No, it's okay. I'm going to leave it. See, now I'm getting into these gymnastics because of the camera. I can't twist the book the way I want to. All right, what do you think? I think I'm going to use a water brush on some of this, but not a lot. I gotta be careful not to flood it. So I'm gonna go back to this smaller one and not super wet. Oh, nice. See? Oh, that was my bottle falling over. It's okay, it's only my fine line. Got to be careful, this black. It will massively move. See that color I'm picking up, I'm washing right out of my brush. See, I probably shouldn't have done that at all over there. Dry my brush as much as I can. Go back and pick up that extra liquid. Be really careful here how much I activate the black around her nose. I always say that, and then I make the nose really dark. So now I have one eye completely done, the other one not worked on at all. It's alright, we can make them match. I don't want them too matchy-matchy though. Pretty cool. I need to grab some black from somewhere else. Pretty darn cool. Let's see what I can do down here with this big black massive, where I really think I overdid it. I think, how do I explain this? What my goal is here now with the water is to change it from strokes from a brush pen to look more like it's been painted. Just to mess up those lines enough Well, she got dramatic, didn't she? I like her. And I think I'm going to leave it just like that. I lost some whites. I lost some whites in here. When it's dry, I can go back in with a Posca pen or a, probably a Posca pen would be the best. I, sometimes try with a gel pen, but it's just too fine and the colors go up through the white gel. So this is not done yet. So that has to stay. This will have to be used somewhere else. Okay. So now I'm done with the mermaid markers. I'm going to take a minute, check, make sure my book's still in the camera. Hold on, I'll be right back. So no, I'm glad I checked. It wasn't completely in the camera anymore. The weight of the camera in the selfie stick tends to drift and it moves down. There's nothing I can do about that. So I have room down here for another face. I'm still waiting for the fine liner to dry. I don't even know what I'm going to do on this one. I'll have to think about that as I'm going along. But like I said, I don't know. I must have tried a Prismacolor watercolor pencil face before, but I don't remember. These are not erasable though. So once again, I'm going to go to, let's look in here. What am I going to use? How about I just try a red chalk pencil? Let's try that. Red chalk is not water soluble. Let's see if it's erasable. Nope. Not very erasable. It's still there. So let's try. Just for something different. Alright, a face down here. Eyes. So let's see. I'm going to go for a 3/4 face. Kind of looking over here at us. So this red chalk is going to stay. So when I use my water-soluble pencils over top, I don't know why I went with red chalk. Who knows? But I mean, overall, look at the whole page together. We've got everything going on. And that's okay. So I'm not sure I got the eyes even enough. Alright, so a nose. I don't even know what to say during this part, except for I'm just winging it. I have no reference photo. Some of my lines are going to continue to show. That's not bad, though. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7. 7's a good number. Odd number. Okay. So there's my basic sketch. I don't think any of it's going to... Nope. Nothing's going to erase off. It's okay. So, these are the colors I have. Now, that must be all the available colors. I don't have all of those. I'm not a good swatcher. You know, I should have one little notebook with all my supplies swatched in there. Yeah, if only life were like that. Okay, so I started with red chalk. So what color? Let's make her nice and warm. I'm going to start with some yellow. Let's use lots. Yellow, orange, red. I don't think I'm going to go as far as green. Yellow, orange, red, blue. Let's start with that. And these need some quick sharpening. When you're winging it, you can't have this stuff prepared. It's probably too sharp. It's going to give me some wicked lines. I did invest. It was at Staples. It was not very expensive at all, in a real Prismacolor sharpener, and it's got the two different holes. I'm going to leave the red one like that. Okay. So let's start with yellow. I'm going to pretend, I guess pretend the sun is coming down this way. So let's start with the yellow on this side of her face. Now her face is going to go right into this girl's dress, and that's okay. We're going to have to add some hair back there. I hope you can see that on camera. Just a hint of yellow. Let's move on to the orange. We're going to have a kind of a warm side, cool side thing, which is another thing. I mean, I suppose other people have done it, but I did a very specific lesson with Christy Sobolewski on warm side, cool side of the face, like the sun shining on one side and the other side's in the shadows. It was really, really useful lesson, and one that I practice fairly regularly. I suppose I should think about her hair soon. A little orange in the lips. Okay. This warm side. Some nice red. Some red in the lips. I did not leave any white highlight there. That was probably a mistake. Now, this is the cool side. This is the warm side, but some has to sneak over. It can't all be 100%. Let's see. Okay. Blue. Let's start the cool side. And like I said, some has to sneak over. I use that term as if the pencils have a mind of their own, that they actually sneak somewhere. But that's kind of the way I think about it. You bored yet? I'm not. And I don't know if you'll have the gumption to do this along with me and try it. I mean, If you're like me, you have to keep stopping the video and starting the video and trying to keep up because what do you think? Let's go back in. I need some more reds on this side. Can't be all blue. That would be just... I missed this part of her forehead altogether. Go back to the blue. It's time to think about her hair. What am I going to do about her hair? One thing, I have used watercolor pencils before, and I think they come out a whole lot more vibrant than I expect. So let's see what happens. This is starting to dry. See the color change? It's much greener. It starts out a whitish and it dries green. It's getting there. Which means I can start her hair. Let's just use the orange. It's going to have to be a mixture of all these colors in order for it to work. Starting with the orange. And obviously, the opposite of orange, I always keep a color wheel. The opposite of orange is blue-green. No, the opposite of orange is blue. I'm sorry, red-orange is blue-green. The opposite of orange is blue, and I happen to be using both orange and blue. So, mix a little bit of that into the hair. We'll find out if I used way too much color. All right. What brush? I'm going to need bigger than that. I think I'm going to go back to my old faithful size 12, worn out. All right. Take a deep breath. Let's see what happens. Yes, that yellow is very intense. We didn't use green, but it's mixing with the blue and giving us green anyway. I think that's one thing Christy Sobolewski has taught me really well. How to use odd colors in faces. I'm building up a lot of color on my brush, so I'm going to rinse it out. I want this to be more subtle here at this part. Come over here. We really got to lighten the dark side on her face. I could take a towel, pull some of that off. See? Same with down there. A little too much. Don't be afraid to dab off. Right now she's looking a little gruesome. This dark side is a little too dark, right? I might be able to warm that side up a little. And if I end up not liking her, what does that mean? That means I learned something. I have seen some other artists lately who go back to a sketchbook they worked on, or a journal they worked on 2-3 years ago, and they're like, I don't like that page, I'm going to paint that page over. To me, those are like old friends. Something, you know, I did 3 years ago, I would never paint over. I can look at it, I can see how far I've come, I can see what I've learned, I can see what I was working on. I mean, I'm not going to knock anybody for what they do. You want to paint your pages over, go right ahead. I'm just saying I would never. Learn something from every page, and these two eyes are looking vastly different because of this mark under. So I don't know if I can fix that over here. Add some red. Maybe. I do think, now I was keeping all the yellow on one side, I need to add some over here. I need to warm this side up. I'm going to leave us not knowing what's going over here on the side of her face, just some shadows. I think there might be just plain too much white in her eyes. Now, is this the traditional way to use watercolor pencils? I'm sure it's not. It's not like I went and watched a bunch of videos. Dark green. I'm looking for some darks in her eyes, and I'm wondering if I should just go with brown. This paper is so soft and mushy right now. I can't do much. You know what? I need to wait till that dries. I'm just fighting myself. Nothing will even lay down on the paper while it's so wet. I need to bring back some darks in her eyes, some darks in her mouth. But look what's going on over here. My fine liner. It's a funny, rubbery, tacky feeling. Now, what am I going to use on this last girl? Tombos? I really dislike Tombos, though. Do I have my Tombos out? Is this Tombos? Yep. Alright. Okay. Tombos it is. Let me put these back in here. I will need these again, so I'm going to keep them somewhat handy as soon as she dries. Let's see what kind of Tombos I have. Pardon my sniffles again. Right, this is my whole collection of Tombos. One was a little 5 set a friend had given me, and then I went to the Reading stamp festival in Reading, Pennsylvania. And it was a lot of stampers and a lot of stamps for sale, but they had racks of individual Tombos. And I tried to pick what I would use for faces. Oh, so obviously this would be a face color. And this, I started with that color erase lavender. Let's see, some pink. I don't think I want to go this pink. You never know, I'll keep it handy. So then does that mean I go with the purple? Let's try that. These will be handy over here in case I need them. All right. One more time. I'm going to check that camera. Hold on. Okay, we're still in the camera. My lighting still seems okay. It's like I said earlier, it's a dreary, rainy day, and now it's getting kind of late. So I guess the lighting's getting worse, as well as my allergies. Give myself a little more allergy rollerball. The nice minty smell, if nothing else, opens up my air passages a little bit. So, let's see what we've got. All right, I'm going to do this girl. And, oh, wish me luck. This is not my thing. Let's see. So I'm just going to go with, your basics. What do you do when you're blocking out a face? You pick the shadows. That's a much darker color than I expected. So I'm going to block in my darks. I always start with the lightest color I have chosen. Oh, forgive me, I don't know what I'm doing. If I remember, the Tombos for me sink in and don't move. So what you put down oftentimes is what you get, which is why I don't like it. Did you see how much this one moved? It's blended all over. Same with the Stabilo and same with the watercolor, but even the flare marker. But anyway, I'll try not to discourage myself before I even get moving. Let's go to this peachy color next. I do like, and you know what I haven't done in a long time? Maybe I should do that next. Is highlighter art. Christy Sobolewski did a whole series of marker classes, and one of them was art with highlighters. And I find once in a while that really, I find that really enjoyable. You just go right in with highlighters. Oh, I probably just messed up that nose. Sorry. Just go in with highlighters. And what you got is what you got. Doesn't move around. The done is done. Maybe I will do that for my next video. Okay. So I've used that one and that one. I'm not sure I even need the pink. Oh, sure, why not? Once again, I'm probably using way too much. I have that nice patch of masking fluid there, so no matter what, she's going to have a nice white highlight in her bottom lip and in the whites of her eyes. What did I miss? I missed some of the peachy color up here. Now, she's looking pretty ugly, right? But this is kind of what is making me think of the highlighter art. You go like this and you layer and you layer, and at the end, it really comes out beautifully. So, this color is going to be strong. Let's add a little bit in her lips. A little bit in her nose. I like to just add colors everywhere, even though they don't seem like they go there. Like that's the last place you would put this color. A little here for the... Oh, I just messed up her chin. Pardon my reach across. I just don't know how else to fix this. She's got a really... I don't like the roundness of her lower face, but we'll see. Okay. These two sections of masking fluid on those two might be too white, but the beauty of that is when I rub that off, I can always, if it's too white, so you take a wet brush and you blend some of the marker across. Last color, this will be her hair. And I might be able to fix the shape of her face a little bit with this. She's just going to be another long-haired girl. And you know what I can do? I can go back in with more of that purpley color and fix that. I'm going to say it again. I don't know what I'm doing. It's kind of scary to experiment and play on camera because you get to see my failures. Although overall now, when you look at the whole page, it looks like I started out paler and paler and got brighter and brighter and bolder and more dramatic. Right now, this part makes this part look pretty pale. It makes me want to go back in with some nice dark markers and brighten them up. But I'm going to resist because the idea is to show you the difference so you can help decide what you like. Now, I need a color for her dress, and I want it to be different than the colors in her face. The green's going to be too bright. Let's go with this blue. Mainly because I want you to see how cool it is with this masking fluid. And what I'll do is I'll bring some of this blue into her eyes so it's not completely foreign. So I kind of had this when you go across that masking fluid, it's this terrible squeaky, hurt your teeth kind of feeling, even when you're using a watercolor brush. I don't know if you can hear that. Very squeaky. Reminds me of the rubber cement we used in high school. I don't know if you're as old as me, but we used a lot of rubber cement in high school. That weird stuff. I haven't used that in years. Let's do this. There has to be a reason to have those dots there. I could have just made another stripe horizontally instead of all these vertical stripes, but oh well. It's done now. Okay, so now this blue is here, and it almost matches this blue over here, you notice. I'll put some into her eyes. That's interesting. Put a little in the dark places. We're building up a lot of ink there. It would really be something if I decided this was so long and boring and tedious and not worthy, and then I just ditched the whole video. Hasn't happened yet, but you never know. Okay. I think we need and at the end I might go in the pupils and places the nostrils and the lip line with some darker. Who knows? So I need a nice big brush. Wet it. Let's see what happens. All right, let's start with the easy. I'm a chicken. I'm starting with the part that's simple. She's really dominating the whole page right now, isn't she? Now that's a lot of color. Look, there's one way to combat it. Okay, get all that blue out of my brush, and let's see what happens with the skin tones. That's intense. That's a lot of color. Rinse. Because I had so much wet ink on the paper, it's starting to damage the paper. You can see some pilling and some rolling. But remember, this is my journal, my planner journal. It's not critical. That's why I will never work by commission. I can pretty much guarantee you there's too much stress in commission work for me. Back when I was in my early 20s, family found out that I could draw, and they raised dogs, and they were connected with a lot of, did I ever speak about this before? They were connected with a lot of people who showed their dogs. They had a lot of time, money, investment in these dogs, and they would spend $500–600 a portrait, a custom pencil portrait, And they found out I could do it and convinced me I should start my own business doing commissions of dogs. And let me tell you, it was one of the most miserable experiences ever. No matter what you did, and I didn't charge $500, I charged $100, and people were never happy. Oh, you know, here's a picture of my dog, but his mouth is open, can you close his nose? Well, I didn't know what their dog's mouth looked like closed. I always told them, you give me a picture, I can draw exactly what's in the picture. Other than that, but they always wanted something different. And I always told myself I would never, ever again, for the rest of my life, work on commissions. I know other people do it quite successfully. I'm getting some mud in a lot of places. It's okay. I almost prefer the mud to some of those intense colors, though. My paper towel over there by my water jar is getting drenched. Let me see if I can get out a towel. Never say never, though. Who knows what the future holds, right? Maybe I'll grow up enough that pressure won't bother me. I'm 57 now. So the odds of me becoming somebody different than who I am are pretty slim to none. Okay. She's rather interesting. Now you can really see where the masking fluid is. Nah, I liked her nose better before I did that. Okay. She has to do some drying here before I can pull that fluid off. And I honestly don't know what I'm going to do more on this page. It's pretty busy already. Like, am I going to fill stuff in? I don't know. I might give her some sort of a shirt and a shoulder because there's a pretty lot of space in there. I do know. How dry is she? She's pretty dry. Look, I could start rubbing off some of that masking fluid. Look how cool. This is the most fun part. I'm always anxious to do it. Look, I start to do it before the paint's even dry. Okay, stop, Joe. Let's get these back out. That one's green. I think I'm going to bring in some black. She's got a lot of color. Let's see. Just to darken up the pupils a little bit. Shade a little bit around the eyes. This part I am not going to wet. I'm just bringing in some of the darks. I don't have to use water-soluble pencil for this part. I could use any pencils I had. But quite frankly, these are the ones that are right here. Now see, I don't like the texture in that pencil. I might have to go in and wet that a little bit. My brush is just damp. Yep, see, wetting that did make the difference. I'm going to leave her. Enough. Enough. All right, I'm going to pause for a minute and dry her with the dryer, although, you know what? No, I take that back. Don't use a dryer on the masking fluid. You might never get it off. I'm going to let her dry naturally, come back, and the last thing I have to do is pull the masking fluid off. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. So while I was waiting for it to dry, I couldn't help farting around, and those test lines I had done here, I kind of turned into her shirt. I don't think I'm going to go back in and fill in the whites. It's already busy enough. I was thinking to make it more along the lines of this, where the whole page was filled, but this is a different story. There's only 2 faces. This has enough going on right now, and it was basically a materials page, not supposed to be a finished piece. So, the last thing, this girl needs the masking fluid off. She also needs some definition brought back into, I think, the mouth, the nose, and eyes, but I wanted to wait until the masking fluid was all off to see exactly what I was looking at. So all you do now, oh, this part's so fun. Roll this stuff off. And look at those whites. Now, I guess you could go back and get the same effect with a Posca pen, right? But I love the crisp lines. Let's see, might be too much white in her nose. Yeah, I thought that would be too much white in those ridges under her nose, above her lips. That's a little too much. But these in the whites of the eyes will be beautiful. Look at that. I make sure I collect these up so they don't end up in the rug. Look what that does for her eyes. Now, decision. Do I leave her looking very watercolory? I don't think so. I think I'm going to take... Is there a darker brown? No, not really. Oh, wait, what's this? It's not darker, it's just greener. I think I'm going to take... I wish I had my mermaid markers, because I might actually... They're downstairs. I might actually rather switch over to a mermaid marker. Alright, let's add... Oh yeah, you know what? That does it. See that? Just enough to bring those back out. And you know, I have that light gray mermaid marker, which right now would be fabulous. Let me show you where the light gray is going to really work. So there's the, this, there we go. Where's my light gray? We need the driftwood from the sun bleached. Let's tone those down just a little bit. I don't need to tone the one in her lip. What do you think? I almost think that those shadows in her eyes almost need the next darker, the Stormy Seas. Yep. Last thing I want to do, bring back a little bit of pink in the lips. I think I'm going to call it done. So let me know what you think. And you can be honest. I'm not saying be mean, but you know, if this was way too long for you to listen to, okay. If you enjoyed seeing all the different water-soluble materials used in one lesson and my thoughts as I go, please let me know. I think, now this is red chalk. Look, now I want to go back and fart around. Leave it alone, Joe. Leave it alone. So, we did black fountain pen, brown Stabilo, water-soluble graphite, happened to be the Derwent, Paper Mate Flare, Mermaid Markers by Jane Davenport, Prismacolor watercolor pencils, and Tombow markers. That's a pretty lot of different, and you know what? Now tonight I'll be lying in bed and I'll be like, oh yeah, I missed another water-soluble pencil crayon marker. Oh yeah, Neocolor 2s, right? I didn't hit those. So let me know what you think. Thank you for hanging in with me and watching, and I hope you're inspired. See you again soon.